It's 10:30 in the morning on Thursday, July 11th, 2024. And I was planning on doing some field work. I came here about 9 o'clock in the morning and I was going to do some field work. Fix the weed whacker, the string trimmer, replace the carburetor on it. The choke control had fallen out somehow, so replaced that. That was actually easier than I expected. I feel like I'm pretty smart or something for being able to do that. Then I went back. I tried to cut down one of the trees that fell apart during the ice storm in February of last year. And I was hoping it'd fall down on its own, but it didn't. So I cut the branches off that had been stripped, and I wanted to fell the tree into some other trees, but it ended up getting caught up in the branches. So now there's a tree that's precariously hanging in the branches, and I don't want to be anywhere near it. So we got out of there and I'm bushed. It's pretty warm today. It's probably close to 90 degrees right now, 50% humidity. The sun's out, it's clear skies, a little bit of a haze. But so we've given the cows 2 sections here. We're not going to be here tonight to move them, so I'd give them twice as much as they normally need. Hopefully they'll make the most of it. And I had this thought about cows that if sheep are profitable, why do cows at all? And the answer is multi-species grazing has benefits. There's good things that come from having more than one species grazing on your pasture. Joel Salatin swears by chickens. He just thinks chickens are the best. They are. Chickens are really good. A lot of work, but very worth it and quick turnaround. So if you want to make some quick cash, chickens are the way to do that. Sheep are very profitable, probably not as much as chickens, but they don't require as much work. And cows are kind of the lowest maintenance of all. But I think the cows have the greatest benefit to the soil and to the grass especially. So something else that's been at the forefront of my mind is this concept of minerals. Like it kind of, when I was thinking about copper poisoning and how molybdenum will help the sheep tolerate higher levels of copper. And why are we feeding our animals minerals at all? Aren't all the minerals they need in the soil? And the answer is yes, they all are there. But the issue is that for some reason they're not able to get enough minerals from the soil, right? And then I remember something, I was reading about vitamin D, and somebody recommended that you can try vitamin D for older women who have osteoporosis, who have like low bone density. Because the problem isn't calcium. Like, you can feed them calcium all day long, but their bones don't get better. The problem is that calcium is not being deposited on the bones. And so vitamin D and vitamin K I think comes from meat, are typically the 2 deficiencies they have. And if you get those up there, then the older women should be able to absorb calcium properly. And the conclusion of that is that maybe the mineral deficiency isn't because we don't have enough minerals, right? Which sounds backwards, right? If you're low on, let's say, iron, shouldn't taking more iron improve your health? Well, the truth is that there are secondary processes to your normal digestion, beyond just the burning carbohydrates and fats and proteins and stuff like that, that are critical to absorbing the minerals, right? And so we have Gabe Brown up there in North Dakota who doesn't feed minerals to his animals at all. And likely what he discovered is that when the forage is sufficiently nutrient dense and diverse, that the cows are able to absorb and integrate the minerals that they need without any deficiencies, And so that's kind of my goal here too, is I don't want to keep feeding minerals to my animals. That suggests that either my pasture doesn't have those minerals or the cows aren't getting enough of it, right? Instead, what I want to focus on is improving the vitality of the forage that they're eating. And the only way to do that is to let Mother Nature do her thing, right? To allow the natural processes in the soil to occur, right? When we get too aggressive with our fertilizers and our herbicides and pesticides, we end up killing the very biology that we need to make soil work and function. And we have this problem in the United States of our food is no longer nutrient dense. if you go to the store and buy veggies, they just don't have the nutrients they had 50 years ago. And I think a large part of the reason for that is because we're relying on fertilizers and other products to keep the crops healthy. And our soil is basically dead. So we're growing in dead soil our crops. We're optimizing for a few features, and we're in the process we're minimizing the actually important features. You'll know what I mean if you ever grown your own tomatoes and you eat a tomato, and then you compare that with the tomatoes you buy in the store. The tomatoes you buy in the store don't have any flavor at all, but the tomatoes you grow, have a really nice, rich flavor. And I imagine any sauce you make with tomatoes you grown at home would just be amazing, So anyway, we're in this part of the pasture where there's tons of Bermuda grass. It's very thick. It's like a carpet. It's so thick you can't really tell how tall it is. You have to kind of look at the cow's hooves to see how much they're buried in it. But right now, it's hot, it's humid, there's sunlight, there's water in the soil, there's carbon dioxide in the air. And somebody pointed this out too. They say the microbes in the soil actually produce carbon dioxide as well. So hopefully they're getting carbon dioxide from both ends. And so the carbon dioxide plus the water plus the sunlight plus the warmth combines to create the foundation of life, photosynthesis, right? That's the gasoline that makes everything else possible. And but beyond that, I'm allowing the plants to communicate with the soil about their nutrient needs. And by stimulating certain kinds of bacteria and certain kinds of growth, they can convince or persuade the soil to produce more of certain types of nutrients that they need, including nitrogen, but all the other critical elements that are needed for life to sustain itself. So down beneath the soil, there's magic happening that I can't see. Even if I were to dig a hole, I wouldn't know what I'm looking at. And I imagine even if I pulled out a microscope, I wouldn't know what I'm looking at. So to me, it's magic because I don't know what's going on down there, but there's something happening down there. And hopefully, it will turn into more nutrients and nutrient-dense meat. And nutrient-dense meat will be nutrient-dense people who eat that meat. So that's the ideal way to absorb nutrients, not through pills and not through vitamin supplements, but through the food that we eat. Okay, so we had some birria. I don't know how to pronounce that. Birria, it's 2 R's in Spanish. We took some of the meat from that bull that I slaughtered in winter. My wife cut it up into big chunks, and we just boiled the crap out of that in water and other spices, and we made birria out of that. And I was eating it, and it had a flavor to it, not a gamey flavor, but a sort of beefy flavor, and almost made the beef that I eat at the store taste like chicken, if you catch my drift, right? There's kind of like a spectrum of flavor for meat. There's like chicken on the far left, and in the middle is pork, and then on the far right is beef. And so somehow this beef is beefier than beef, so I imagine, I don't have any evidence, but I imagine that hopefully I was getting a lot of nutrients from that meat. I certainly feel better after eating it. I love eating meat, so hopefully that's what we'll be able to produce, is consistent steers that are nutrient dense and lambs that are nutrient dense. And who knows, maybe one day I'll try mutton. I'll see what mutton tastes like. You guys have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.